Good evening, guys. Good evening, guys. What's up? This is the one and only African Superstar back at it again with another live stream. Shout outs to the African Superstar family. Yes, big shout outs to you guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Special shout outs to my members only who support this platform on a monthly basis. They get access to behind the scenes content. Members only, I did post an exclusive vlog for you today. So you can get that on the community tab or on your members only tab. What's up, family? What's up? What's up? What's up? Please make sure you hit the likes when you come in the room. It's the one and only African Superstar with a live stream. Today's topic, I want to get into it. I want to remind you guys I offer bespoke tours for the meantime in Ghana. If you are planning and you want to have some one-on-one time with me, do not hesitate to reach out and book that. We also have our upcoming group tour October 19th through the 26th. If you are in the UK, I will be performing live on June 27th at the Camden Club, which is in Chalk Farm. Yes. So please don't miss that. And if you're not in the UK, I also have an upcoming virtual concert on TikTok. So you can get more information about that, obviously, on my TikTok, which is the African Superstar. Big shout out to the family, guys. Make sure you hit the likes. Yes, if you're here, let me see you in the chat room today. Today, I want to talk about, do you want real change? And are you actively working towards it? Yes. So I'm going to get into that. Hello, hello, hello. Please get into the chat room when you come in. Please, guys, make sure you like the stream. You should know the code by now. You can let us know where you're viewing us from. Greet, say hello, whatever you want to drop. Oh, yeah, I love this topic. What's up? What's up? Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. What's up, guys? I'm waiting for you in the chat room. Shout out to Jennifer Edie kicking it off. Thank you so much for being there. First one in the chat room. I see you, my dear. Yes. Lovely. Tonight's topic is, do you really want change? Yes. And are you actively working towards it? I think one of our big weaknesses, obviously, one of the things that we've been the most misled on growing up is this whole, savior complex. Good triumph versus evil. Good things come to those that wait. These type of concepts that have us really delaying our future a lot of times. That have us kind of putting off things that we want to do and things that we want to accomplish. I think maybe most of you guys are aware of this recent plane crash that just happened in India yesterday. A flight leaving India coming to London crash, just seconds after takeoff, and all but one person was killed on that flight, as well as people in the heavily populated residential area where the plane crashed. And obviously, when things like this happen, especially for frequent traveler, world travelers like myself, you think about what that means. I've literally in my lifetime at this point probably taken hundreds of flights. I fly several times a year. I've been to over 20 countries. I've been basically flying since I was a kid. Since I was a young child, I used to fly on my summer breaks and go to Bermuda. I went to Europe when I was in high school, and things like that. So, you think about it. Every time you get on a plane, your anticipation is obviously that you will get to your destination safely. You know that there are associated risks with traveling. And, we've all been made aware of these situations. But, I thought about that flight in particular because a good friend of mine, her daughter was doing study abroad in India a few weeks ago. And obviously I'm currently in the UK. So it's like, you could potentially be on that flight. You just never know. Or you could know people that were on that flight. And it's quite daunting. But the reality is, guys, you want real change. It really comes down to you. It comes down to you. It comes down to your efforts. It comes down to your investment. It comes down to um, you know, how bad you want it. Because if you're just dilly-dallying around, then it's safe to say that you're not going to accomplish much. What's up, guys? Hello, hello. Are you there? Let me do a commercial break and get you guys warmed up. Big shout outs to the family. Yes, please make sure you get into the chat room today. Jennifer Edie is there, and we appreciate her being in the building. Yes, the one and only African superstar. I am here. I am here. I am here. Have you heard my latest track? Boom, boom. If not, here's a snippet.
Boom, boom. It's a crazy banger. Oh my God. I hope you have that.
One and only
the African superstar.
African superstar on the track.
You gotta wanna play it on repeat. Just listen.
International award winning. Yes.
Trust me. When it comes to lyrics,
in the
we don't
midnight
play.
hour, when I get next to you, butterflies in my tummy, and my heart goes boom, boom. In the midnight hour, when I get next to you, feels so exciting, and my heart goes boom, boom. There's nobody like you. You're my one and only. Since the day that we met, I remember you've been driving me crazy. I love your brown eyes and your chocolate skin. Not ashamed to say it over and over again.
In the midnight hour, when your pretty eyes meet mine, your body is a mesmerized. You will go down on your knees, say a little prayer for me.
Big shout outs to the family. Yes, guys, that's my most recent track. It's called Boom Boom. Streaming everywhere. Also, the audio is here on the channel. Big shout outs to M. George, repping from Detroit. I see you guys in the chat room. Thank you for those of you that are on code. Tonight's topic is, do you really want change? You know, I'm seeing so many crazy things going on around the world. You know, you got the ICE protests in California. You've got Israel attacking Iran. You've got, you know, natural disasters. You've got this plane crash. You know, you just got so many simultaneous things going on. And if you're not careful to be really focusing and honing in on the change that you want and the change that you need to see, there's a high probability you won't experience the change, because the world around you is not an advocate. Let me be honest. In some cases, like even your friends and family are not advocates for your change. And rather, a lot of factors around you can be obstacles to what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. You know, there's a lot of information out there, especially with social media, a lot of misleading things. You know, the traditional media, even social media. You've got to be very grounded in what you are going for. You know, the path you want to take. And sometimes it's even necessary to disconnect from all this stuff and just kind of focus in and hone in on what it is you're working on. You know, recently I sat down and I kind of mapped out the immediate change I need in my life. What does that require? And I gave myself a daily list of things I need to do that are going to contribute to those changes. Every day, I'm ticking off those, you know, 4 or 5 things that I must do every day that will add up to and amount to significant change in my life. You know, and I mean, if you start operating like that, you will see the change very quickly in your life. You know, because it doesn't take all day. And the truth is, nobody's coming to save you guys. You know, one of the biggest lies of all time, you know, this whole savior complex and all of that, it's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to happen. If you are not positioning yourself well, you can just forget about it. That's why I'm asking my audience, do you want real change? You know, this isn't specifically just about Africa, the continent. This is about you overall, your whole life. You know, your weight, your finances, your mental health, your desires, romantic prospects and things like that. I'm living with my surrogate family here in the UK. Special shout outs to my homegirl Nunu and my nephew Zion for accommodating Auntie Gina in the building. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Yesterday, Nunu was showing me some reality shows that, I'm not much on reality shows. I don't even own a television at home. So there's like a lot of things in reality TV and things I'm just not aware of. So I saw this program, 90 Day Fiance, like a spinoff of that show. And obviously I've seen the viral clips on YouTube, Facebook, and that kind of thing. And these people who have had, unfortunately, a lot of unsuccessful relationships, divorces. A lot of the people that were on the show, they had been, primarily dating through online, and they were sponsoring people to travel from abroad and move to the US. And, a lot of these relationships don't work out positively. And, I was looking at them and I just thought to myself, man, these people, they have like no shame. They're not embarrassed to put their business out there. Obviously, their friends are going to be watching them. Everybody's going to be watching them. People that don't know them are now getting into their private affairs. But, I spun the perspective and I thought, hey, if these people are genuinely trying to find someone, okay, they're willing to go all out. Okay, they're willing to date people in other countries. They're willing to go through the immigration process. They're willing to take that risk. They're willing to get out on, social media, reality TV, and put themselves out there because that is their objectives. And that's the kind of vigor that we really need to be having, guys. That's the type of vigor. A lot of people talk incessantly about what it is that they're driving at and what they want and what they're pursuing without any tangible action behind what they're saying. And when it's like that, again, the probability of you achieving is very, very slim and low. Because you need to be actively pursuing it. And even sometimes you will get favor. You will get opportunities that just bounce into your lap, or you're at the right place at the right time and for networking and things like that. But the reality is you still need to be in motion. You still need to be positioning yourselves to potentially receive those opportunities because you're in those arenas. You are making a name for yourself. Recent example is me on the House of Clue. Shout out to Dominique and Farmhouse and Aquaba Magic, Queendom, everybody who, I've worked with so far on the program. Acting was not something I was actively pursuing. However, I am a bit known in Ghana. I am a celebrity in Ghana. I am a musician in Ghana. And, all of those things are self-led initiatives. I'm an independent artist. It's up to me to write and produce music videos, appearances, all that stuff. It's up to me, and I was so honored that to be even considered for something. But I realized that, yes, I am working actively on visibility. And so when you are doing what you're supposed to do and you're trying to position yourself, then you are definitely opening up your opportunities to be broader, And so this was what was on my mind today. As always, guys, I want to promote you to take initiative in your life, in your endeavors, 100%. Because if you don't, that's you taking control of your situation is the only way that you can ensure that it's going to be addressed. My mom has this saying, I'm sure some of you guys have heard it in the past, which is, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. Waiting on someone else to do it the way you like it done, not always the case, because, there's multiple ways to do and achieve things. But if you actually facilitate it, you can make sure that it's done to your standard. You know, what's taking place in our world right now is a whole lot of instability. Okay. And that instability is everywhere. But if you're smart and you're paying attention, all that should be doing is helping you to place yourself in the best optimal situation for yourself. Um, at the beginning of this last election, when Trump came back into office, there were some people in the US, I mean, some of them obviously are still there, that were just like infuriated and unhappy. And, they didn't want to be under his power, under his control, and all this kind of stuff. You see, this is the beauty and the reason I promote options. There have been several people, probably maybe in the thousands, that since that last election, they have chosen to go to their alternative residence. People that have multiple properties that can go elsewhere, have multiple citizenships. I have a girlfriend, Nicola. I talk about her here. Shout out to my girlfriend, Nicola, my birthday twin. 26th of June, huh? You all ready for my birthday? Yes, I'm going to be here in England. I don't really have big plans. I have a show the next day. So, yeah, when I return back to Ghana, I'll probably turn up. But my girl, Nicola, recently relocated to Portugal. This is something that she's been working on the better part of 2 years. Okay. She did work for the U.S. government. And, she proactively planned this move because of various things. One of the things that she was very, very concerned about was safety. She had previously lived in Chicago, and, just the frequency and unpredictability of violence, gun violence in Chicago, that's when it kind of started stirring in her head to look at alternative options. To make a long story short, the position that she was working until she voluntarily resigned and moved abroad ultimately was one of the departments that was closed by, Trump's sweep on the government and all this stuff. We talk about it sometimes, and she talks about how she's relieved. Now she's getting phone calls from some of her old colleagues, and they're frantic, and now she has other friends that are inquiring about moving abroad, and all this stuff. Seeing the writing on the wall and preparing for the writing on the wall is a smart thing to do, guys. It's a smart thing to do. Strategizing the backup plan, strategizing the future. Okay. Some of us, you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. What does the next 10 years of your life look like? What does the next 20 years of your life look like? What does your retirement look like? What is the plan? Do you have assets? What's happening? Because this is how you're real with yourself, and this is how you get things done. And I just want to be among people that know how to get things done. Because, the majority of our people are doing this. Yap, 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 yap. Huh? Can't even get anything moving if they tried, because that's the stage that they stop at. The cultivating their feelings and expressing it, and that's it. And I honestly believe that this part contributes a lot to the poor mental health of our people. You see, because, for instance, if you're complaining, huh? Guys, give me some complaints in the chat room. Shout out to the African Superstar family. Let me see you in the chat room. Complain. Tell me something that's getting on your damn nerves right now. Okay, let me see it in the chat room. You're continually complaining about this and that. Okay? And there's no problem resolution to that. Okay, are you guys are also happy, right? Because there's nobody in the chat room complaining. I know y'all complaining. What is it? Huh? Is it weather? Is it, the media? Is it blah, blah, blah? Is it the kids? Is it what's getting on your nerves at this moment? Come on, let's talk about it. Okay. This is also Male Mental Health Month. Yes. You can, you know, reach out to the males in your life and check on their mental well-being. You know, a lot of times, especially responsible men, a lot of responsible men bottle up their emotions. And because they are responsible, because they are the breadwinners, because they are leaders, because they are, looked at in a particular way, it's very difficult for them to express what's happening sometimes in their lives. So take some time out. I mean, don't just restrict it to this month, but make sure, you know, the men in your lives that you love, your nephews, your uncles, your dad, your spouse, make sure you're taking time out to be supportive to them. You know, the responsible guys. Hello, please. Because that's who it really pertains to. All right. Big shout out to African Superstar family. Thank you so much. God's child is in the building. Thank you so much for replying my trivia question. Okay, trivia question is, what's getting on your nerves? What are you complaining about? What's pissing you off? God's child says this demonic U.S. administration. Okay. So, prime example, let's say you got fed up with the government, I don't know, 20 years ago. Because at the end of the day, it's all the same. Okay. We have different leaders that come. But whether they're Democratic or Republican, or if they're conservative or they're the liberals, or in Ghana, if it's NDC or MPP, or if it's the Labour, party in the UK or whatever. Okay. These governments, they all do the same song and dance. Right? If you, for instance, you have agreements with that particular thing, let me use myself as an example. I can't stand systematic racism. I can't stand the use of the infrastructure to prohibit my people, to limit my opportunities in the workplace, to open me up towards discrimination, predatory lending. All these things that are built into the system that, I'm subject to, obviously. This element, it's driving you mad. It's crazy. It's wrong. And you see it and you know it. But because you never get past trying to figure out, how am I going to respond to this? Like I said, in the U.S., a lot of people that feel strongly about this administration, either A, they were preparing, B, they've already implemented their plan B or their exit strategy, whatever. C, they have options. So they say, you know what, I can just leave the U.S. for a few years and see what comes, what becomes of it. Huh? You see? And I'm always promoting that here on the channel. Exercise your options and take the next step after identifying the problem, verbalizing the problem, complaining about the problem, and find the solution. I know that everyone's not in a position, for instance, to move abroad. It does definitely take resources. It takes tenacity. Yes. But there are some of you that are in the position to begin to explore other options. And it may just be what you need to do. I'm not trying to be callous, but certain things that go on in certain locations, I just, it doesn't resonate with me because it's not my problem. And it's nice to have options. Currently I'm in the UK. I'll be returning to Ghana soon. I can't wait. I'm counting down the days. It's nice to just be able to, again, have options, and do it proactively. Okay, because when the heat gets on in the kitchen, shout out to God's child. God's child is got plans. Okay, already in motion. When stuff hits the fan, potentially, that's not the time to try to figure it out. Okay. Because then, everybody's going to be scrambling. Prices are going to go up. Supply and demand, the shift is going to change. It's better for you to take a look at the situation. When we look at the situation in the Western world for our people, if we want to be honest, it's just never been good for our people. Ever, ever, ever. There's never been a time of peace. There's never been a time of prosperity. There's never been a time of harmony. Huh? There's always been violence. There's always been racism. There's always been friction. There's always been profiling. Hello. There's always been allegations, defamation of character. Huh? There's always been a predatory lending, discrimination in education. Huh? Always. And we look at our people, we look at many of our people in the Western environment, we see their mental illness. Some of our people are so deluded about who they are, their heritage, everything. They don't even know. They don't even know their gender anymore. Things have become so distorted. That's what is happening. And if you have 2 eyes to see, or 4 eyes like me, you got a pair of glasses, and you see these things happening and you don't want to be absorbed in it, it's best for you to start taking the initiative to change your situation, whatever that means. It may not necessarily pertain to migration, but if it's your fitness, if it's your finance, if it's your mental health, hello, you have got to be integral into that thing. If you guys recall this scene I'm about to recall, it's from an epic movie. Hello. Like a 90s movie. Okay. So there's an actress and she's making a clay bowl. Okay. This is actually from the movie called Ghost. If you guys remember Ghost back in the 90s with Patrick Swayze. Yes. So in the movie, Patrick Swayze is the ghost and his lover is, mourning him and all that stuff because of his sudden death. And there's this very, very, iconic scene of this actress molding a clay, bowl, something that she used to do with him. And he's the ghost and he's there and he's like supporting her to do that bowl. Okay. It's very important that you take the initiative, that you're molding your future as best that you can, because things are rapidly changing. And I can tell you right now that, again, in an emergency situation, that's not the time you want to try to figure things out. We see what's happening to our peers. We see what's happening to our kids. I happen to feel like this is the most dysfunctional generation of our people of all time. Struggling in relationships, struggling financially, struggling professionally, struggling mentally. Hello. And if we don't take the initiative to save ourselves, do for ourselves, preserve ourselves, then we know what will happen. We will become a part of the environment just like many of our peers have done. Okay? So tonight's question is, do you really want change and are you actively working towards it? It's a 2-part thing. Because if I ask you guys if you want change, you're going to say, yeah. Yeah, Gina. Oh, yeah, I want it. Yeah, I want it. Okay, so the following up question is, are you actively working toward? What did you do today? What did you do today towards your things? If you've got 3 objectives, you got your fitness. Did you do your fitness today? Huh? Did you do the gym? Did you do your workout tape? Did you do your yoga? Did you get your steps in? Hello? What's your diet looking like? Did you try to eat well? Did you have your fruits, vegetables? Did you drink enough water? I spoke to a friend of mine last week, and he's so excited about the energy in Burkina Faso. Shout out to my homeboy, Black Boss, Mr. Troy. Shout out to you. I spoke to him last week. We were talking about, him visiting Burkina Faso because he's just, again, so engaged in what's happening there. And, there's very few people that's actually on the ground in Burkina being able to share the reality, the real time reality of what's going on. Troy called me today and said, I booked my ticket. I'm going to Burkina Faso in a couple weeks. You see? So do you want change? What are you doing towards it? He told me, I'm a Pan-African. I want to be in the middle of the movement. I want to contribute. There's no other place to be, quite frankly, with more energy at this moment in regards to in regards to Pan-Africanism than Burkina Faso. It just doesn't nobody else is topping that right now. So my friend's going to the epicenter of the situation. And that's how, making moves. Not Some of you have been talking about, for instance, visiting Africa for like 10 years now. I've been on YouTube since 2013. I moved abroad in 2017 to the UK. I took my first trip to Ghana in 2016. So I probably have been, I was talking about Pan-Africanism prior to that. But obviously, the more I began to go to the continent and get more information about everything, the more radicalized I became, I guess. And so, literally, if you started with me on my journey, my YouTube journey, or my African journey, or my migration journey, it's already been well over 10 years. And some of you have still been saying that you want to come to the continent. Meanwhile, my homeboy Troy, last week we spoke about him going to Burkina Faso. This week he bought his ticket and he'll be out in a couple weeks. You see, are you a man or woman of action? That was my last video. You want change, but you're not taking the strategic actions. One could look at you and think that you weren't serious about the things that you talk about because there's just no tangible proof. And what I want to do, I want to motivate you to be men and women of action. That way you can be men and women with a track record. Hello, men and women with confidence. Men and women with success. Because if you're not actively doing it, then you're not going to have anything to show for it. All right. Big shout out to the African Superstar family. Thank you to the handful of you guys in the chat room today. Yes. I hope you guys are doing well. Again, upcoming announcements. I have a show in London, 27th of June, day after my birthday. Yes. If you're in town in the UK, come on out to the show. Hello. I give a good show here in the UK. I would love to see some of my UK-based viewers at the show. Some of you guys have been coming out lately, and I really appreciate it. I had the pleasure of meeting several people in my last show in November. Yes. So please join me at the Camden Club. That's at 7273 Chalk Farm Road. And that's going to be June 27th. The program is from 7 p.m. to midnight. Students get in free with the student ID. Everybody else, the tickets range between 10 to 25 pounds. Obviously, if you wait to the door, it'll be expensive, so you can book them ahead of time. The flyer and information is on the community tab. If you're not in the UK, you can also catch me on a virtual concert, and that's the 29th of June. That's going to be on TikTok. Yes. And if you're ready to, visit Ghana and you want me to tour you around for the meantime, in between time, I'm offering bespoke custom tours. You can get a hold of me regarding that at afrikansuperstar@gmail.com. And also, some of you guys probably need mentoring, probably need leadership abilities. I'm happy to assist you with those sessions as well as consultations to Ghana. Yes. So, take advantage of these services from someone who cares, someone who is a perpetual winner, someone who has a hell of a track record because, you know, I came to the conclusion, I took the risk. You know, I once was very active in the church and I was very frustrated by this whole kind of liaison concept that I felt, in my opinion, that I was really tossing my life to the wind, you know, because I was praying and hoping and sending donations in and, you know, trying to have faith and all these things that things are going to work out. I didn't start really seeing the fruits until I took my own hands, just like that Ghost movie, and I began to mold and shape my life the way I wanted it to be. And what you see today is a combination of that ideology. You know, now, just like I said, when I was thinking about the results I want to see, the results I need to see, let me say in the next 12 months, what do I need to be doing on my end to achieve those things? What can I do daily to contribute, weekly to contribute, monthly to contribute? What should my annual contribution to these objectives be? You know, when I first started recording music in 2021, I recorded 2 tracks in 2021, which was Ghana is Good For Me and Ghana Roll Call. And starting the very next year, the goal was I have to record at least 10 songs a year, you know, to build my music catalog. Okay. Now it's not hard to do that. You know, last year I recorded nearly 20 tracks all by myself then. So, you know, this year I've only recorded, let's see what, I think we've just done 2 tracks so far this year. I'm trying to think. I had a studio session. Yeah. I've only recorded 2 so far this year. So far. I have a myriad of them for the next studio session, you know. But the point is that, okay, I'm a musician. Okay, I need to be building the catalog. I need to be coming up with music. I can't just be having one song. I mean, some musicians do, but you know, I think that the more music you have out there, the better chances you have of maybe getting a popular track or developing a fan base, because you're giving your people material. You know, you're giving them something to patronize, enjoy, look forward to, and you're giving them, you know, insight into your style, your music, your sound, and all of that. It's very important. So, what are you doing, guys, on a daily basis? You know, you have a laundry list of complaints. What are you going to do about those? Are you just going to be complaining forever? That's going to make you mentally ill. So how about solve the problem? Solve the problem. You know, God's Child 2 said the American administration is driving, you know, her crazy at the moment. Okay, get away from it. Get away from it. You know, get away from it. Get away from it. That's an option. You know, quite frankly, if Trump is frustrating to you, you know, seeing him on TV, hearing him speak, you know, being in the workplace with people that share that mindset, you know, the environment I mean, okay, think about it, you know, and really at this stage of the game, you have the benefit of the doubt of social media. Social media gives you a glimpse into the fact that a lot of your peers are living non-conventional lifestyles and are so happy, and it's feasible. That should be empowering and motivating to you to go out there and go and chase your dreams, because the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. I'm telling you guys. Just going back to that Indian, you know, plane crash yesterday. Okay. All those people that boarded that flight, they had plans. Some of them lived in London. Now their apartments are empty. Okay. Food sitting in the fridge, clothes at the dry cleaners, money in the bank. Okay. They're gone. We never know when our time is coming. And that behooves us to maximize the time that we have. I think a couple days ago as well, Ananda Lewis, well-known former host on MTV, she passed away at just 52 years old. 52 years old, gone from cancer. And I think sometimes we behave like we have unlimited time, and it's really sad because if you're not bringing things to life right now or in the very near future, you may leave this world before ever achieving it. And if it's really something that you just really need to do, it's something deep in your soul that you want to do, then it should be top of your priority charts as to achieving that. Real talk. Big shout out to the African Superstar family. What's up, Zoo and Shayna? Very tragic. Yes, honey. A lot is going on lately. I was seeing this lady on TikTok yesterday talking about Israel attacking Iran. And, all this kind of stuff. I talk about it on the channel sometimes, guys. Listen, these conflicts that are happening in various countries, they can impact those of us living in allies of these countries and all this stuff. Okay. We're sitting in the Western nations a lot of time, oblivious to what's going on in the world, or we don't care, or we don't have an opinion. But in reality, yeah, it could still impact you. Some of you guys living in the States, you guys have draft age young men in your families. That if war broke out or whatever, they can be drafting your son, drafting your nephew, drafting your grandson. Or you might already have active military people in your families. These situations, we need to think about the bigger picture. And do we really want to be involved in conflicts that we don't agree with, that we don't support, that we don't have nothing to do with? Think about it. I have many, many reasons as to why I have conveniently put my base in Africa, but again, the probability of conflict as well, because Africa is the only place in the world that has not been involved in the world wars. Not involved in nuclear weapons, none of that stuff. I mean, and even this day-to-day life in Ghana is cool, smooth, no mass shootings, no all this stuff that goes on. Very prominent in the Western world. And we need to think about it, But tonight's message, again, just to reiterate, is: do you want change, guys? And what do you want change in? Where is the change you want in your life? The follow-up question to if you want change is: what are you doing to ensure that change? What are you doing to ensure that change? Because that's always my major talking point, which is: what are you going to do? What are you going to do to position yourself where you need to be? How are you going to address it? Leaving it to the wind, hoping, praying, wishing, hoping it's all going to work out. I don't want to think about it because it's so stressful. I don't want to. Okay, you take that very cavalier, nonchalant, refusing to address things, refusing to acknowledge things, you're going to get what you get. COVID was a eye-opening experience for me. Some of you will say that it was an eye-opening experience for you, but did you change your life? Did you start doing things differently? What indicates that it was a life-changing experience for you? I realized that I was trapped in the UK at the time. The only other option I had was to go back to America potentially. but I didn't want to be in either of those environments. So my primary, focus after post COVID was getting my life, elsewhere set up. And now when I come and visit the Western world and I get my fill, after a couple months or so, then I leave. And it's so nice to have that option. It's so nice to, I don't want to do the winter. I remember one night, this was a couple years ago. It was probably, I think it was the week of Black Friday. It might have been the Monday or Tuesday before Black Friday. And I was here at Nunu's house, and one of the things that happens to me in the winter that's terrible is my nose gets cold. Okay, my nose gets cold at night, and it just like refuses to warm up, and it's just so awful and uncomfortable. And I'm trying to sleep my nose, and then I'm trying to warm it up, and then if you put a scarf on it, then you're breathing into the scarf, and it's just so dramatic. And I was sitting there, and I was like, you know what? Booked my flight ticket, was out the next day. It's like, it's too cold. You know what I mean? Because I actually forgot that sensation. Because typically after October, I really don't like to go abroad anymore because it's wintertime everywhere. And so it was late November at that time. And, Nunu wanted me to kind of stay through December, but I was like, I don't know. And then that night, my nose got cold, and I was like, that's it. I'm booking my ticket. And I was out. I was gone. And it's just nice to have options, guys. But the reality of it is, you are at the driver's seat. Let me be the one to tell you. Okay, these are the conversations that like our parents and our peers and our teachers and our pastors never had with us when we were growing up. Okay, we cast our, as they say, cast our pearls to swine. We left our future success in the hands of other people, thinking that they're going to do the right thing. Thinking that they're going to be moral, thinking that they're going to be fair, thinking that we can work it out, thinking God's going to do it, thinking Allah's going to do it, Jesus is going to do it, the government's going to do it. And getting the rude awakening that, oh my gosh, and as you stay there stagnant, hoping for the best, people that are taking strategic action are coming up and surpassing you because they're ready to make moves and you're not ready to make moves. You're just in the talking stages forever. If I put it in terms of any other thing, you guys get it. Okay, if it's a relationship, if you were with a man or woman for 10 years and this person doesn't want to move the relationship along, some of us, after 1 or 2 years, we're out. We're like, okay, this is going nowhere. Others of you, the cognitive dissonance is deep. So you might think, she'll come around. He'll come around. I know he said he didn't want to get married, but let's just give it some time. Oh, we're going to have a baby. We live together. Let's see what happens. Okay. Looking at that, we would think, okay, after 10 good years of this man or woman not wanting to move the relationship forward, we would know that that person is not serious. But when we gauge our life and our success in our life, and we are stagnant in our life, year after year, it's the same thing on our dockets. We want this, we want that, we want success in our career, we want more money, we want a partner, we want to travel, we want, we want all these things. We're hoping it comes. We're hoping it comes. We hope our opportunity is going to come. No, you are at the driver's seat. You are responsible for the outcome. Okay, you can change the dynamics if you change it. I'm telling you right now, from this month, this is June. From June of 2025 to June 2026, pending that you're alive and you're still healthy, you could dramatically transform and change your life. Yes. In the course of a year, you could give birth to a child. You could marry, you could start a business, you could move location, you could lose weight, you could save money. You could dramatically transform your life in the course of 1 year if you were ready to take strategic action. You say you want change. What are you accompanying that wish with? What actions are you taking to get the change? Big shout out. Zua Jana says, you are so right, Gina. Most possess some form of selfishness to keep focus on the goal. Sometimes it's hard to maintain due to the continuous distraction. And that's what the point is. You see, the point is, it's actually genius if you think about it. Okay, because like I said, you and I possess the power to change and transform our life. Okay, no external party is responsible for that. Okay, that is an internal thing. But because of consumerism, huh? You know, because of media brainwashing and control, we have been made to feel that we don't possess that power, that someone else possess that power, and that we need these services and we need this education and we need this and we need this person and we need God's shining down on us to just do what we need to do, when in reality, we just need to do what we need to do. We just need to do what we need to do to get the results we want. If you want to go to Africa, you need to do what you need to do. First of all, pick the country. Second of all, pick the date. Third of all, buy your ticket. Fourth of all, do your visa. Send away for your visa reservation, whatever. Figure out visa. 5, book your hotel. 6, pack your bags. 7, turn up to the airport. 8, board your flight. 9, visit Africa. Just like that. That's how it's done. Okay? You don't need no intercession. You don't need no permission slips. The only thing holding you back from moving forward and changing your dynamics is you. Some of you guys have, what do they call it? Self-sabotaging, fear of success, madness. When you really think about it. So you moving forward in life is scary to you. You changing your class, you having different experiences, it's scary to you. Guys, they are deliberately poisoning our mind to make us ineffective and non-productive. Because if you knew you had the power and you found out that, damn, I had the power all along and all I had to do was use it, a lot of companies are going out of business. A lot of people are going to lose money. Hello? Okay? A lot of TV shows, the ratings are going to plummet. A lot of things are irrelevant, and you're going to know they're irrelevant, and you're not going to be impacted by them. Okay? So you think about it to yourself. You want change. What are you doing to ensure that change? What are you doing? Like I said, in 1 year, guys, pending from now till then, you're still alive. Okay, no deterioration in your health or anything like that. You could totally transform your life in just 1 year. If you were serious. If you were serious. Seriously. In 1 year, things could dramatically change for you. But whether or not that's going to be the case, it's all up to you. And I'm just here, as usual, to remind you of these things. Okay, so like I said, if Ghana is on your radar and you're like, you know what, Gina, I'm ready to come. I'm a little nervous. I don't want to be there alone. Then book a tour with me. I'll be your tour guide for the amount of time you're in town, and I'll look after you. I've toured with several of our family members. You know, Ajike came on a tour with me and Mr. Taye Uhuru last year. I had some guests earlier this year from UK. I have other guests coming in July from Atlanta. Yes, you know, I'm official, can be trusted, and I know what the hell I'm talking about. You feel me? Take advantage of it because I'm becoming an actress. I may not be available to you. Hello, yes, yeah, because all I need is a blockbuster, huh? Yeah, let me get a blockbuster. Y'all won't be able to catch me. Hello, I won't be able to catch me. Be too high profile. Be too high profile. So take advantage of these opportunities while they are afforded to you. Okay. In minimum, you can be streaming the African Superstar music. Yes. I do have a virtual concert coming up on the 29th of June on TikTok, totally free. If you are in the UK, I will be performing live on the 27th of June at the Camden Club. Would love to see some of you guys. Matter of fact, let me stop the show. I have some very supportive African Superstar family members in the UK. Yes. Since I've been doing music here in the UK, I have met several of you. Came to my shows in London, came to my shows in Luton. Last year, November, we had a show. Taye from the Diaspora channel, she traveled after work to come and see me. Hello. Yes. Some people from my Facebook showed up and came to support your African Superstar. Yes. So I really want to take a minute out and just thank all of my family here in the UK that shows a lot of tangible love and support. I know I have not come to perform in the US yet. I mean, I'm sorry, my buzz is bigger in Europe. Hello, I go with the flow. I go with the flow. But for those of you guys that have not had the opportunity of seeing me perform live, don't miss my virtual concert. Hello, I'll be there. Gosh, there is a flyer here. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's like going around my head, driving me nuts. Yes, family. All right. And if by chance you don't know my music, wake up.
My new song, Boom Boom, is a crazy banger. Oh my God. I hope you have that.
One and only
the African Superstar.
African Superstar.
You gotta wanna play it on repeat. Just listen.
International award winning. Yes.
Trust me. When it comes to lyrics,
In the
we don't
midnight
play.
hour, when I get next to you, butterflies in my tummy, and my heart goes boom, boom. In the midnight hour, when I get next to you, feels so exciting, and my heart goes boom, boom. There's nobody like you, you're my one and only. Since the day that we met, I remember, you've been driving me crazy. I love your brown eyes and your chocolate skin. Not ashamed to say it over and over again.
In the midnight hour, when your pretty eyes meet mine, you probably be some mesmerized. You will go down on your knees, say a little prayer for me.
Yes, that is my latest track, Boom Boom, featuring Mr. Kojo Oheneba. Yes. So as far as the virtual concert, I will make sure to post it on the community tab. It's on TikTok. It is on June the 29th from 7 p.m. to, I think, 7 to 9 p.m. GMT. So that is British time zone. Hello? Yes. And so there's actually a showcase of me and other diaspora. I'm actually the only female on the bill. Yes. And it's a myriad of other really talented diasporian artists. Primarily, a lot of them are Ghanaian artists, dance hall, reggae. They play guitars and all of that. So yes, I'm going to be on that virtual concert. Hello. Yes. And I'm going to perform for you guys. So definitely catch me on TikTok. If you guys aren't on TikTok, you got a little bit of time to get enrolled so that you don't miss it. Yes. Yes. So I will post that for you, Zoo and Shayna, on the community tab. So be looking out for that. Okay. Yes. Big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. It's really good to see some of you in the chat room. I know a lot of you guys struggle with the being on code thing. Yes. But it's really nice for engagement on the live streams. All right. So a big shout out to your family members that were on code. Yes. I will see you guys again very, very soon. Much love to the African Superstar family. If you enjoyed this message tonight, please make sure you subscribe to us. We love to have you here. I usually come with, thought-provoking, motivational type of topics to motivate you on your journey to success. Thinking outside the box, doing unconventional things, and being unapologetic about what it is you need and want in your life. It may not be what the next person needs and wants, and that's okay. That's fine. But it is such a invigorating sensation to just be true to yourself, whatever that means. So I promote and encourage that on this platform. Okay. Until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.